Alright guys, Money in the Bank is done and dusted. It is over. It happened last night and it's actually Monday. It is the 18th of June. It's the day after Money in the Bank. And I was able to see all of the matches after falling asleep watching two of them. But regardless of that, guys, let's get started with this review of Money in the Bank 2018. I actually decided to do this review a little different because I don't want it to go over 30 minutes. So I decided to break this up into categories: best matches, worst matches, and sleeper hits. And also I'm going to put match of the night. So that's pretty much how I'm going to set it up, to have it one big cluster so I'll be able to get it all done. So let's get started with the sleeper hits first. Anyway. The sleeper hits of the night definitely was the IC Championship match and Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. I never really thought that I was going to, pretty much it's because of Big Cass and Elias. Even though Elias has impressed me throughout the last few months of his character, how much he can get so much heat, as well as him being beloved and how skilled he is at just being an actual artist, in a way, I never really thought they were able to hang with these veteran workhorses like Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins. I thought it was going to be too much for them to handle, but boy was I wrong. Especially with Elias. The IC Championship match really did impress me a lot because he was able to keep up with Seth Rollins. It started off a bit slow at first, but then it was able to pick up the pace very quickly. And Elias was able to counter move after move after move. So he impressed me a lot. I would have been okay if he did win a title, but since he didn't, well, I mean, that's okay too. But in my opinion, I don't think he lost. I think people really will remember him even more now. So it's kind of a win-win on his end. But let's talk about Daniel Bryan and Big Cass. I never really liked Big Cass's character because all he talked about was how tall he was. But I'll say this, he held his own. Daniel Bryan made Big Cass look good, and Big Cass didn't look like a complete idiot out in the ring next to Daniel Bryan. They were able to have a good balance. And it was a really great match to watch. It was decent. It wasn't a train wreck like I thought it would be. Because their past bout, it wasn't the best match ever. But this is one of the best matches in Big Cass's career. I hate to say it, but it kind of is. His singles career, that is. It's one of the best matches to date. So they were definitely sleeper hits of the night. Now, before I go into worst matches, let's talk about the worst matches first. Let's get it out the way because I actually do want to end this video on a good note. The worst match of the night is the obvious ones. Now, it's not really because of, well, at least two of them. It's not so much because of the match being bad. It's the build and the overall story behind it either doesn't make any sense and it just felt random, or it was poorly executed. And we all know which one is poorly executed, and I'm not going to go too much into it. But I will say that Roman v. Jinder, it really breaks my heart to put this in the worst match category because Roman Reigns deserves a lot more than what he's been getting. The fans turned on him. Nobody really likes him to be on top, and it's because it's been force-fed for so long that the fans are rebelling. Even if he has a good match, nobody's going to really see that. And that's what makes me feel bad about putting him on this list, because he doesn't deserve that. Now with Jinder Mahal, it's kind of difficult to say that he deserves it because honestly we all know why he was on top in the first place. But he is a good heel. I'm not going to deny that he's not. But the entire match itself was generic, and his character is starting to become a bit generic. But they did their best throughout the match. It just didn't really, I didn't really care much for it. And that's why I put it on the worst match list. I hate to do that. But let's talk about the one that deserves to be the worst. And I feel bad for Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. I'm happy to see Bobby Lashley won because I am hoping this thing dies. I'm hoping not to see it again on Raw. I am hoping it just quietly died out and it just disappeared, because Sami Zayn did the best he could with this horrible feud, and I'm hoping they don't bring it back up again. That match was terrible. It was somewhat one-sided. Sami Zayn tried to do something with it, but it just didn't work. Bobby Lashley pretty much decimated him. And And I'm happy to see that, because that means it might be no more. At least I hope so tonight when Raw comes on, because trust me, if it doesn't, then you're gonna probably see a rant video coming from me. But anyway, those two are the worst matches of the night because they were how they were booked and how they were executed. Now let's go on to one that made zero sense towards the end, and that's why I put it in the worst match category. The SmackDown Women's Championship with Carmella versus Asuka. Honestly, like I said in my predictions video, King Maxwell can beat Carmella. Anyone can beat Carmella. But it seems that Carmella is so heavily protected, and then you have Ellsworth coming out of nowhere, well, dressed up as Asuka's character. I don't know what happened. Asuka was like staring at him like a deer in headlights and confused for a good 7 minutes. And I'm like, okay, why? This is just awkward in itself. And then, of course, Ellsworth trying to wink but looking awkward and weird doing it. The match itself was kind of odd. Carmella tried to look good, but in my opinion, she's still a bit average. The way that it was done, I'm not gonna lie, Asuka really didn't make Carmella look good. She made Carmella look the best she's ever looked in a very long time. Carmella is an excellent heel, but I can't even say she's average in the ring. She's somewhat subpar, like between above and below average. But honestly, I would have been okay if she lost, because I am happy that Asuka did not lose clean. If Asuka lost clean against Carmella, just like how Charlotte lost clean against Carmella, it would have made Asuka look absolutely dreadful. I don't know how she'll be able to come back from that, seriously. But at least it was Ellsworth, but it was done in a stupid way. Like, it was so stupid, it was ridiculous. That's why that match was the worst match of the night. But now that we got that out the way, let's talk about the best matches. I kind of want to end this on a good note. The best matches of the night, of course, are both Money in the Bank ladder matches. Now, my friends don't really like, some of my friends don't like or didn't like the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I enjoyed it. I thought, even though it wasn't a spot fest like the men's, and it wasn't as much carnage in it as the men's, it was still a good match to watch. Very fast paced, very strategic. A lot of people like it's a little bit over choreographed. Honestly, it just looked good. I know there were a few spots that were a bit odd, especially with Naomi going up and actually grabbing the briefcase about to take it off, but then whoever was supposed to come up, Mr. Q, the same thing with Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch came close to taking that thing off. But then, I guess Alexa Bliss ended up missing her cue, and she had to like fumble around with it, and it looked kind of awkward. But other than that, I thought it was great. It set up two potential feuds, at least in my opinion. It set up two feuds with Sasha Banks and Ember Moon. I would love to see Naomi versus Ember Moon, but since they're on different brands, that's not going to happen. But it possibly could set up Sasha Banks versus Ember Moon and Charlotte versus Becky. Now, everybody wants to see Charlotte versus Becky because they're best friends, and best friends always have the best fights. So I'm looking forward to see that, and they were able to set that up. So I'm not beefing about that at all. I thought that was great. Now, for the men's side, of course the men's side is full of carnage, but there was one stupid thing that happened, and that was from the New Day. We can expect some stupidity coming from the New Day, but the fact that they dragged out for the longest of times which one's going to be in the match, and everyone assumed Big E, but then we got Kofi Kingston, the king of Spot Fest. Yeah, I mean, you could have just at least had Zay up in there. I mean, Zay's a hot flyer too. Could have something new. Kofi Kingston's been in how many Money in the Bank matches? So why have him? Why not have Zay? That would have been Zay's first. So it would have been nice for Zay or Big E to be in it, because it would have been their first, because Kofi Kingston's on his way out. So it would have been nice to actually have the ball rolling with Zay. But I guess they really want the Spot Fest to kind of make it better than the women, so they had to add him in there, and I thought it was just dumb. But the biggest thing that really surprised me the most was who won. We didn't want to automatically assume Braun Strowman, but then Braun Strowman ended up winning. but for me, and I think I called this out for the women's, it made sense for Alexa Bliss to win because of Nia Jax and seeing how she was going to literally do everything she could to get that belt back. It made sense for it to be Alexa Bliss and having her going up against Nia Jax, and I'm going to get to that match a little later. But having her cash in towards the end of the night was gold. So I mean, I'm happy I was able to call that out. But despite all that, I thought it was great. I really thought that both Money in the Bank matches were amazing. Now, before I get into the Women's Championship match, let's talk about Shinsuke versus AJ Styles. It took a long time for it to get there, man. It took a long time. It was like watching molasses drip down a wall, and that takes a good minute unless you heat it up. But regardless of that, it took a long time for them to start picking up the pace. But towards the very end, it was like, wow. They looked like they were trying to kill each other. Even though it did not top NXT TakeOver the previous night with Gargano and Ciampa, I will say that they tried to get there. They didn't quite get there, but it still was a really amazing match to watch. Now, I actually should have this under the sleeper hits, but it still was a good match either way. But I had this in one of my best matches, and this was the kickoff match with the Bludgeon Brothers versus the Good Brothers. I liked it. I thought it was a great way to kick off the show. It was a very decent match to watch. I never thought I would be that entertained, but that shows how great Gallows and Anderson are and how great they are in the ring against whoever they're with. And the fact they were with the Bludgeon Brothers, who were great when they were in the Wyatt family, it was a really great match to watch. I enjoyed myself watching it. I was thinking about putting it under sleeper hits, but I decided to make this as like one of the best matches, and it was a best match. Now let's get into the best match, and I'm also going to make this my best match of the night. This was the Raw Women's Championship match. You can honestly argue that this should have closed the show, or at least came close to closing it, because it was really that good. With the drama towards the end, as well as how well Nia Jax was with Ronda Rousey throughout the whole time. Nia Jax is known to be extraordinarily clumsy, to the point where she damn near kills people. But I was really happy to see how what's the nicest way of saying it? Oh, I can't be nice. How unclumsy, if that's a word, that she was with Ronda Rousey. She actually was able to keep up with her. Ronda Rousey really impressed me at WrestleMania 34, and I knew that she was going to be good here. But the fact that she was able to execute as many moves as she could, the one thing that really bothered me was that over-the-shoulder drop. I can't remember what she did. I can't remember what move it was, but I do know it looked like that she dropped Nia Jax on her neck, and it looked kind of, it looked kind of cringeworthy. But I will say it was an overall good match. Nia Jax was able to sell it very well, as well as Ronda Rousey. They were able to sell their injuries very well. They were able to sell the pain very well. They were able to stay toe to toe, and it looked good. It looked really good, and they both looked good doing it. But of course, it was the end drama that got everybody down. The Chicago crowd was insane. Here comes Alexa Bliss out of nowhere, cashing in her Money in the Bank briefcase and becoming champion that night. I wish I called that, but I did not. I did call her winning though, so I am claiming that. But anyway, that was an overall spectacular moment, and I am happy that I was able to witness it. But guys, that is my overall thoughts of this pay-per-view. But actually, no. Here's my overall thoughts about this pay-per-view. I thought this pay-per-view was good. I enjoyed myself watching it. Sure, there were a few worse matches there, but there were only 3. But the other ones were fairly decent and very surprising. I didn't think they were all going to be good, especially the ones we didn't ask for. But other than that, I have no complaints about this pay-per-view. I thought it was great, and I had a good time. I had a good time watching it. And I partially lost my voice watching it, especially when Alexa Bliss came out. I was screaming to the top of my lungs. But guys, those are my overall thoughts of Money in the Bank 2018. What is yours? Leave it in the comments below and let me know how you feel about this pay-per-view and how you will book it. I am curious to see what you guys think. But other than that, guys, I am done here, and I will see you later. Peace out.